Well, Charlie Kirk was a friend. I met him in 2020 before the pandemic hit. Was January 2020 because there was a conference that was hosted by America Renewal Project, which is a major conservative 501c ministry that is founded by David Lane, who is also a friend. He lives in Dallas, Texas. And what his whole theory is that pastors will make the best politicians because they're already vetted. They have the Christ-like character. They have a biblical worldview. And so what he does is have these conferences with pastors attending, and then he has special speakers that are involved in the government. And he will recruit these pastors to run for office. And as a result of that, has pastors who are now in office all over the country. But he invited me to be one of the speakers. But before the conference started, he said, I want you to meet this young man named Charlie Kirk. And to be honest with you, I don't know if I heard of him beforehand, but I knew I definitely didn't meet him because when I met him, I was very impressed. And he was only 26 years old. And then when I heard him speak that evening at the conference, I was blown away because I said to myself, this guy's so brilliant at the age of point. He doesn't have a college degree, but yet he's so self-taught and he was brilliant. And I said to myself, he is going to be president of the United States one day. And I thought he would make a great president. And then in that year, we had the pandemic, and I sued Governor Newsom, and by God's grace, I won. And in 2021, the next year, February, Charlie Kirk invited me to meet with him for dinner with Jack Hibbs at Chino Hills, Chapel Hill, because he wanted me to share what happened with the lawsuit, and he wanted me to be on the podcast. So we talked about it, and it was really an honor to meet him. And then he started to have me speak at his conferences for pastors. It's called Turning Point Faith. And I was so honored that he would have me consistently. In fact, he invited me most recently in September until I made the announcement in August, because they don't have anyone who's running for office speak, but just pastors to speak to encourage the church to vote. But the moment I made the announcement, he called me up and said, I'm sorry, but I have to ask you to not be on the speaker's list. Please come. But we don't allow candidates to use this conference because pastors are coming just to be equipped and encouraged and not to be campaigned on, because a lot of them, this is new for them. So I totally understood. I said, thank you. But even recently, I was invited by Charlie. And I want to just say, finally, it was Charlie who invited me to meet with President Trump. He invited 300 pastors to Atlanta, October 23rd. We're having a big rally, 15,000 people, but he wanted us to meet before the rally began with President Trump and then to pray with him. And so I had the privilege of being one of four to lay hands on President Trump, pray for him. And then we had a group picture. And then from there, it's when I threw out the fleece, God, if you really want me to run for governor, I want to meet President Trump at the White House and not on the road. So anyway, I thank God for Charlie Kirk, and I believe the legacy is that we're going to see a tremendous harvest, a revival among young people. And I think his death is John chapter 12, verse 24, unless a grain of wheat falls to the ground and dies, it remains by itself, but if it dies, it bears much fruit. And we're going to see tremendous fruit. What the enemy meant for evil, God's going to use it for the good. And Genesis 50, verse 20. So I want to encourage you that we are entering the most exciting period of church history. And we have to go after young Koreans that have fallen away. And even though the parents may be believers, we have to go after the second generation and the next generation after that. God bless you. Thank you for allowing me to share.